Hello, everyone. My name is Henry Schultz, and I'm the technology specialist here at Voicent Communications. Discussing how Voicent's communication tools can help you increase revenue, improve customer satisfaction, and reduce costs. And we'll focus on a few of Voicent's automated tools for broadcasting personalized and interactive messages, as well as our tools for managing customer relationships and call center performance. In developing software-based communication solutions for more than 10 years, our tools are designed to use internet technologies such as VoIP. This allows us to avoid the cost and inflexibility of traditional telephone technologies like the analog telephone. So the old desk phone, it still works with our software, but we're trying to move the industry away from that. Included in that, moving away. So in recent years, Voicent has been focused on helping businesses cut costs and get more from their call center operations by integrating all of our tools for sales, marketing, customer service, customer relationship management. Now, one of the great things about Voicent's tools is their versatility. Voicent solutions are used by businesses, nonprofits, political campaigns, hospitals, government agencies, and the list goes on. So many of you are probably interested in a very specific use of their products, and I want to encourage your specific questions, but also ask for your patience as we discuss product capabilities you aren't considering right now. These capabilities will lead to new ideas for your organizations, and that happens a lot for Voicent customers, is they don't foresee the flexibility of our software, so your idea actually may change drastically of what you want to be done. And this would be for the better, make it a lot easier, more efficient. Demonstration will cover the agent dashboard, which is the agent software to answer and receive calls. We're going to be covering the AgentDialer here, which is our predictive dialer. BroadcastByPhone, our AutoDialer manager for whisper coaching, statistics, agent management, and campaign management. Recent CRM and how it's integrated with Salesforce. It's also integrated with SugarCRM and Zoho, but those will be used for later on demonstration, not covered today. The BroadcastByPhone is the AutoDialer. This will play an automated message for you. The user can press 1 if they're interested, and it can be transferred. Predictive dialer will detect the human voice, and once detected, it'll transfer immediately. Here is basically all the management, statistics, reporting. Anytime if you have any questions, we have a chat in the bottom right that you can feel free to use. I will open up the microphones from all users later on in this demonstration, so if you wanted to discuss your questions or anything like that, we'll hold that on for later. But for now, just feel free to use the chat whenever you have a question, and I'll try and answer them when I have the first chance to. One of the other softwares that we'll also be discussing later on is the VR Studio Designer. So this is where you would be able to design phone surveys or those phone menus that say let somebody call in and they can check the status of their order or process a payment, anything like that. And one of the best things is that all of these softwares are integrated seamlessly together to provide an excellent and easy experience. So let's go ahead and get started and show you how they work. So the timeline is going to start off BroadcastByPhone, and then we're going to move to the AgentDialer, then the manager, centric features, and then we're going to cover IVR Studio at the end. So we have BroadcastByPhone right here. This is our AutoDialer. This is the landing page. After you install it, all set up, this is the main interface you're going to be starting in. Now, Let's just go ahead and jump on in. We're going to create a new call list here. It looks a lot like a spreadsheet. So if you're familiar with Excel, then this is probably something that looks very comfortable to you. We're going to go ahead and import your call list into our software. So let's go ahead and so I have a BroadcastByPhone importer here. It's a standard CSV file. And as you see here, the CSV file has a few columns. We have a name column, phone column. Mark this as the name column. Mark this as the phone column. First row is the header. So if you notice, this has the names on it. Tell it that the first row is the header. We're going to ignore these alternate phone columns for now. We have those records imported. These ones are going to be the first two. So now that we have your records imported, this one only has one. There is no limit to the number of imports. This software can go to thousands of simultaneous calls. So this instance, we're just going to be importing one for now. This campaign. So now this is ready. So before we want to broadcast, we're going to go ahead and design the actual phone call. So when we call the users in this spreadsheet, they're going to receive a phone call based on the design that we will do here. So this is the message designer. This is where you're going to actually create the phone call. So it's pretty intuitive. It's possible. There's two designs. One is going to be a design for the answer machine. One is going to be a design for the human. We're going to accept user feedback. The user will be able to press an option to do something. There's a lot of different events that they can do, and you can actually create your own. Let's go ahead and start. We're going to first, let's just pretend that we're trying to do outbound sales campaign. So this message that I'm going to design is for an outbound sales campaign. Message saying something along the lines, hi, this is IT security. There were a lot of burglaries in your area. If you're interested in our security system, press 1 to speak to a representative. Type this in text, and the computer is going to convert this text into text-to-speech. So there's hundreds of text-to-speech voices on the market with varying qualities, dialects, accents, and you can pick and choose any of them. We support the biggest text-to-speech providers on the market. A lot of AT&T voices work, and they're actually getting really good. So it's very hard to detect the actual roboticness of them nowadays. So this is going to offer that this is IT security and calling in regards to burglaries in your area. If you wish to speak with a security expert, please press 1 to transfer now. So this is what the system is going to immediately say. Once the call gets connected, they say hello, something along the lines of that. We know it's a human. They're going to hear this message. We need to set for this design is to make sure it's the press 1 to transfer. This is the confirmation window. You can confirm yes, confirm no. There's opting out. You can transfer calls. You can replay the message. They can even leave a recording. So we're going to do a transfer call, press 1. Telephone number here. So if you wanted the transfer call to go to your cell phone number, you can enter a 10-digit phone number and it'll transfer to your phone. Leaving it blank will transfer to somebody logged into our agent software. Because it'll be instant. There's going to be less of a delay. So we have press 1 set, and we have the transfer selected, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and add a press 2 to opt out of future calls. 3 to replay this message. 2 more options we're going to give. We're going to give a press 2 to opt out, and they press 2. That's going to instantly reflect in our CRM. So our CRM knows they don't want to be called. That is dialing SMS, emails, will never contact this user again. They're going to be globally opted out. The press 3 to replay message. So now it's designed. We have these 2 texts that will be converted to text-to-speech. Going to go ahead and design the answering machine. The answering machine will not be able to confirm input, so the message will be slightly different. Maybe you're going to tell them the phone number that they can call if they want more information. So let's go ahead and type the same message. Hi, hello, this is IT Security calling in regards to burglaries in your area. If you wish to learn more, and then your phone number. The system will read it out as one big digit, but if you separate them, it'll read them off separately. So we'll just go ahead and type the system will read these off individually for the phone number to call. And then that's it. So we will go ahead and save that design. Webinar test. It's ready to go. Spreadsheet, we're just going to go to broadcast up here. We're going to select this message we just created. And we're going to go ahead and save it one more time. And then we can go to broadcast start. Right here it's selected. You can schedule it in the future. So if you want to schedule this at a certain time, if you want to set a recurrence, then you have those options as well. We're going to go ahead and do a start now. Time, the system is going to show you what's in progress, and this will make the outbound phone call. And upon receiving it, you'll be able to, it'll detect your voice, and if it doesn't detect the voice, it'll try to detect the answer machine, and then it will play the respective message. It's pretty easy. We try to make the designer as straightforward as possible. Hung up the phone call after answering, so I didn't give it a chance to play the message. So the status will relate to what happened. Sometimes the phone call may be a disconnected number. This will reflect that. Sometimes it's a fax number you're calling. And this is good for call centers because you want to make sure that as soon as you detect a fax number, you're going to flag that in the database because that's just wasting time. Same thing for disconnected numbers is depending on how the phone call results in our software. And your call center operations can take this status and flag it in the database somewhere and say, hey, this number is disconnected. Don't call this again. Some of the other cool things about our designer is it lets you get even more advanced. So if you don't want to use computerized text, if you notice this menu offers audio messages. So you could have a professional recording studio record your actual message and then just plug that in here. When somebody answers the phone, it's going to play the audio file you select. Has access to the columns in the dialer. So if you notice, we have 4 phone columns. So in case they have alternate phone numbers, mobile, cellular, home. But we also have a name column, and that name column is important. You personalize this message. Let's go ahead and delete that out. I'm going to add a new one in that says, so it'll say hello. Let's go ahead and move this up so it says it first. It's going to say hello, and then I'm going to have it say your contact name. So this contact name here is going to use the name column in our spreadsheet to personalize the broadcast. This is going to allow you to utilize any column. It's not limited to just the name. If you have a column that has somebody's account number on it and you're calling them to say that their bill's due, you can use that account number in the phone call and read it to the user. You could tell them their account number. Easy. As a collection system or notification system, it makes it pretty versatile. And that can also be done inside the answering machine portion. So some of the other features inside this is once the call is done, you can export it back into a CSV. So let's go ahead and then once it's exported, you can put it back in your spreadsheet, take it to a database, and same thing with the actual system itself is you can directly integrate with the database. So if you don't like importing, exporting, for the more advanced users and the companies that have IT staff, is you can utilize the database features here that we have. So when you start the campaign, it can automatically go to the database and populate this with all of your records. So that won't be covered here. That's more advanced. Some of the other things before we get out of broadcast by phone is it has a list sorting options. So most companies like to call people back after they sort their list. So when you do sort it, the ability to sort by the status column. If you want to collect all of the disconnected numbers, if you want to collect all the failed ones, you can move those out somewhere else, or you can just collect all the answering machine ones. And if you wanted to, you can start calling back the answering machines. This would let you sort them, and it would group everyone together. And then you can choose what you want to do with that list. And one other feature that it has, list. So this lets you generate random number listings. So if you're a political organization and you want to reach the audience of an entire city, if you specify their area code, say you want to call Mountain View, California, you could enter this, and it's going to generate numbers in this range, so between 100,000 and 900,000. Or you can tell it to generate, say, 1,000 random numbers. Boom. So now we have potentially 1,000 new outbound leads that we can call. And this is good because you can also flag them too. So they'll be flagged, disconnected, fax. That. So some of the other things covered in here is you're actually able to record directly in our software. So when you're trying to design the menu system, you have the ability to, as long as you have a microphone, to select this option and you can record the broadcast. Or if you don't have a microphone and headset, audio by phone. If you're trying to make a really professional sounding recording, you can enter your telephone number here. Our system will call your phone to record. You'll record your message, pound when you're done. You can listen to the message, press 1 if you're happy, press 2 to re-record. Then once you're done, it'll save that to your computer, and then you can use that recording on your broadcasts. So this would save it as myrecording.wave, and you can use that as an outbound message. So that covers most of the broadcast by phone auto dialing And we will cover this a little bit later on when we get into IVR Studio. Now, if anybody has any questions related to the Broadcast by Phone software. Yeah, feel free to type in the bottom right. Now, if you want to use your microphone to communicate, on the Voice over IP section of TeamViewer, your microphone will be muted. So if you unmute that, you can also ask your question directly. So if you don't feel comfortable with the chat. If anybody has any questions about how this can be utilized, if you're, say, a water district and you want to use this as a water bill collection system or anything like that. But if not, we'll just go ahead and move on to the next subject. Okay, no questions, so let's go ahead and move on. So the second product that we're going to be covering is the Predictive Dialer. And it's going to operate almost 80% the same. And so we have one question: does this integrate with Microsoft CRM? Currently, the only 3 CRM integrated right now is going to be Zoho, Sugar, and Salesforce. We currently do not support Microsoft Dynamics, but we have plans to eventually integrate that. It's just not fully integrated right now. They're still doing internal testing. Once it's really polished and perfect, then we may release it to our beta testers, and then after that, it would be in the final product. But as of right now, it's not. That was a good question, Nick. So for the AgentDialer, since this is about 80% similar to Broadcast by Phone, it has the exact same look. It has the column spreadsheet feel. It has the same message designer. About the AgentDialer is when it detects a human, it's going to transfer instantly to somebody logged into our dashboard software here. So this is where I'm going to make an outbound phone call. I'll answer it. Once I say hello and log in, I have an account I set up testing. It's going to sign into the dialer. So now, since I have auto answer on up here, I'm going to tell the system that, hey, I'm available. Send me phone calls. And you can check to make sure it detects you in the dialer. So let's go ahead and check to see who is logged in. Testing is logged in, the computer I logged in from, and the time I logged in. It does contain some basic reporting, but most of the reporting is done in the call center manager, and I'll show that to you after we're done in the AgentDialer. I'm going to go ahead and import that same file. Let's go ahead and go to Broadcast by Phone Simple Import. Column, we're going to use the phone column. The first row is going to be the header. So we'll check this here. Appointment date. Imported directly. The appointment date is automatically imported as well if you want to use this. Save this. So another cool thing about AgentDialer and Broadcast by Phone is, I'll show you it shortly, but when the call is connected, any columns that you have inside the dialer are going to be sent over to your agent when the call's connected. So that's really useful if you have, say, an appointment, and your agent needs to be aware of that in case the customer has questions, so then the agent would have the resources available on hand to answer something that could potentially come up. Same thing for debt collectors, is they need to know their FICO score and the amount of money that people owe. Normally, they'll import a list that contains a lot of that information, the bank, their FICO score, the amount of money they owe, so that when their call's connected, the agent has those resources at hand. Save the list and started. The one difference about predictive dialing is it's not really message oriented. You could design a message and broadcast that message, but the real benefit to this is instant transfers. So it's not going to play a message. It'll listen, it'll detect a hello or something similar and transfer instantly. So now my phone's ringing. Hello. My hello voice, we're going to be prompted and pulled directly to the Salesforce CRM. So I actually have not logged in yet, so let me go ahead and log in. First, I actually missed this one step, so it would pull up the record directly, but Salesforce wants to make sure that you're allowed to see this record. So you've attempted to access a page that's required. Need to use the correct account. So now that I log in, it does pull up the respective record. So utilizing the telephone number on the caller ID, it is going to automatically create a record. And integrated so that when the call is connected from an inbound call or an outbound call, however the agent in the dashboard gets connected, the reflective CRM record. So this one's for Salesforce directly. It's all in the whole Salesforce page here. We have some previous contacts here in the top left. We have a queue window in the top left to show you people waiting, the person I'm currently talking to. Disposition people here. These are all customizable. I'll be done here. So this is the agent dashboard, and this will be covered more later on. But this is how these two softwares interact together. They're communicating with each other. And at the bottom, the columns from the dialer. So if you see, we have the appointment date column here on the right, the phone number, the name. Everything from the dialer is going to be sent here to be usable. And even call history. So here's all the prior testing webinars that we've done, all available on hand as well. So if you want to move something around a certain column, you can just close it. I mean, we want to make it so that your agent feels comfortable. If they're comfortable, they're going to do a great job. They're going to make it so that it is as efficient as possible for that agent. Even full CRM integration allows them to have browser windows open as well. So if they needed, say, account open, this is a web browser built in, so they can go and do other things as necessary and give them as much tools as possible here. So I'm going to go ahead and disposition somebody, add some notes. Let's go ahead and just say this person is not interested in a dialer, they already purchased one. So we'll go ahead and mark that. I'm going to then release the call. Releasing it, instead of hanging up, I've already hung it up, is going to say to the dialer, hey, I'm free now, send me another call. So now that I'm released, I'm available for more incoming calls. And once you release it, it'll update the dialer with your notes, as well as the reflective Salesforce record will also have notes on it, fully integrated together. Now, one of the other modes that makes the AgentDialer different than the BroadcastByPhone is we also offer a semi-automatic mode. Which is basically using your keyboard to dial the next number to hang up audio files. So when the call is connected to you on your headset, if you say the same introductory sentence over and over and over again, when the call gets connected, you can just select the audio file right here. It's going to play that over the phone for you. Sales pitches. If anybody has any questions about the AgentDialer or how the AgentDialer is used in the dashboard, the agent interface, feel free to ask those questions now. So that is a good question. The agent dashboard, even though I have this on the same machine, this does not need to be on the same machine. This dashboard, which is the agent's interface, can be on an entirely separate machine in the same network, or the agent could be located at their house. So when Voicent or say your IT staff install this software, set up here at the top, wizard, which I've already have mine set up, but you'll have a wizard that will ask you some questions, and the IT staff will just need to tell the IP address of the dialer. It can be located anywhere in the world and still get the same exact scenario that just happened on my local machine. Even though they're on the same machine, it would be the exact same thing if the agent was located at their house. Everything, the notes, statuses, the full 9 yards. All right, so now we're going to cover the call center manager and how that ties together. Go ahead and paste myself here and make another outbound call to myself. Active dial going. We won't cover, and if you really want to dig into the software, any of our software, I recommend downloading the free version online so that you can kind of dig in and see the more advanced features that we won't be covering in this webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and get this call started. It is going to show here that it's dialing. I have 3 phone lines. This is a small call center thing that I've set up here. I'm going to go ahead and answer this call. So it'll detect the live answer, and the agent record pops up here. It is going to have full access to the actual manager. So if you notice, I can see that the agent that I made testing is busy, and that the phone line 2 right here is answered, the telephone number related to it, and having the ability to monitor agents here. You're going to have the option to listen in their conversations to the customer, the agent. This is good for training purposes, quality assurance. There's also whisper coaching. So if you did want to correct an agent that's saying the wrong information over the phone, you can whisper to him without running across the whole office, nudging him on the shoulder and telling him then. You'd be able to just whisper coach. The agent would hear a little beep to know that you're about to whisper coach to him, and then you would be able to correct him. And also, let me go ahead and release this call here. Release this. The call center manager now knows I'm idle. Now that I'm idle, it's going to potentially send me new calls. So this is how you're going to see all of your agents. The agents logged in, the ones that have logged out. You'll be able to go into a report for the past couple of days for agent. Basic report that is exportable. You'll be able to get a summary of how long they were idle, how long they just sit there not receiving calls, their talk time, how much they're actually on the phone, and their wrap-up time. So this is a really easy way to judge whether or not you have enough telephone lines to keep your agents busy. You want a tenfold increase in this percentage. It should be at least a 60% talk time percentage, and they should be idle around 20-30% of the time, and then the remainder should be wrapping up, entering notes, dispositioning the call, if they are hot lead, cold lead, things like that. So you'd be able to get one specifically. Even when you dig in deeper, you can get the more gritty details. So if you need to know exactly when that agent logged in the morning, logged out, certain events, this is basically just exportable. So if you want to do some calculations with this, we give you the ability to do so. Campaign reports. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the campaign test I just ran. Ran 3 AgentDialer campaigns in the past 2 days. We're going to go ahead and make a report for those 3. And the disposition codes that call resulted in, so when you flag people as interested, not interested, if they opted out, reflected in these columns here. So we have 2 total live calls connected. Those are the 2 tests I ran, which is all exportable. We're going to reflect here the agent that was connected, which was the testing agent. And even your agent's will be set up here. So when you're creating an agent, and when they log in, they'll be created here. Now, after they log in, you're going to be able to assign their role. What role does is the administrator is going to have full access. They will be able to basically control all the CRM records. So when they dig inside to the CRM, it's what's the type of permission they'll have, if they can access certain columns, if they can update information, if they can create new records. And all of this is flaggable by you. You can tell it what role gets what access. So I'm going to go inside administrator and show you the permission that this role has. Some of the custom records that we have in the CRM are in the middle here. We have custom defined columns. How did you hear about us? The source of the caller. Things are flaggable. Read being checked means the agent can see the record. Write being checked means whether or not that agent can overwrite that record and edit it, basically. And then also in the bottom right, you have the ability to turn off searching CRM records for a client or an agent. Also creating them. So sometimes you just want certain agents to receive calls from existing customers. Sometimes you have other agents that you want to handle all the new customers. You do so with the different roles. And also when you're setting up the agent, you have the ability to give custom agent fields. So if you're an insurance selling company, when you sell insurance, you have to be licensed in certain states. So if you, say, have an agent licensed in just California, state column can be used so that when you're transferring a phone call, if you wanted to transfer to an agent that has the state equaling California, you could do that. So I'll show you that later on in IVR Studio, which is our phone menu designer, on how you get more control over your transfers, making sure that an agent that's extremely qualified gets the phone call over an agent that's just training. You want the training agent to get a phone call that's very small. It's not going to affect a sale or something like that. So one of the other options that this has here that I'm going to cover before we move on is a time zone management feature. This is something that Voicent is unique for. And what you see here is a database of area codes associated with the time zone. So if you're going to be a call center in the East Coast and it hits 8 p.m. there, you clearly want to stop calling people on the East Coast. You don't want to wake anyone up as soon as they just fell asleep. But this will let your dialer automatically adjust to detect the phone number you're calling and the area code that it's related to. So if it's 8 p.m. in the East Coast, it's still going to be 5 p.m. in the West Coast. So that's potentially one more hour of some dialing that you could be doing. You can use this feature or you don't have to if you don't want to. This just gives you more bang for your buck. We want to make sure that your agents are busy so that if you did want to operate for that extra hour, you would have the ability to do so. If anybody has any questions about the call center manager or how it interacts with agents, the time zone system, reporting, anything like that, feel free to type that in the chat. All right, so it looks like there's no questions on the manager. So like I was saying about our two dialers before, is we try and make things as intuitive and pretty straightforward as possible. So most of the options that you see here are pretty straightforward. Most of it's usability, and we try to make it as simple. And getting to know where things are is the biggest struggle that clients will have. But once you are familiar with this, everything is really straightforward, how things are done. And we have a lot of documentation and even training that we provide so that users do feel comfortable on operating this the best that they possibly could. So something else that I was going to cover is the Voicent dashboard is basically a Softphone. So I already showed you how the AgentDialer, the Predictive dialer, will transfer here. You'll get the pop-up and everything. But even if you just want this to replace your outdated desk phone, that can work the same as well. You have a dial pad here. You can dial specific telephone numbers, make outbound calls. If somebody calls your phone, they're going to pop up here. You're going to have the ability to see the caller ID, answer it, reject. Call history here. So I have the notes that I entered on that customer. I can go into that record, get more information from them, the business they're in, just how they hear about us, how many cars do they own, their do not call options. So this is what happens if somebody presses 2 to opt out on that security campaign I showed you at the beginning introduction here. So this is where that what information is going to be stored. Do not email, do not call. Let's go ahead and try to make another outbound call to this phone number. And instantly, it failed phone number opt-out. So it's fully integrated with each other. When they opt out, they're opted out. So let's go ahead and un-opt me out. So you'll be able to, once this is populated, get full access to all the history. So now if anybody has any questions about the CRM or how this relates to any of the other software that we already discussed, feel free to go ahead and ask those questions now. Okay, so it looks like there's no dashboard questions. Now for the last part of this demonstration, to cover one of the more advanced of ours, and that's going to be the IVR Studio here. So let me go ahead and connect this my computer. I'm logged in. This IVR Studio is going to be the phone menu designer. So let's go ahead and design one for, say, phone call, outbound. You can make a broadcast by phone call, AgentDialer, and all of our other software here, even campaign scripts. So this is what is presented to your agent to let them know what to say and how to navigate a phone call. So let's go ahead and make a basic inbound call. When you receive an inbound call, you're going to offer the caller some choices on where to go. Up here at the incoming call element, we're going to add a next one. So you right click it, add next element, choice. So this, we're going to name this main menu. And then you hit next. And just like the broadcast by phone message designer, is we're going to tell the system what to say. So thank you for calling Voicent. Press 1 for sales and press 2 for support. So as soon as somebody calls in, they're going to be presented with this message. Now we just need to tell the system to let somebody press 1 for sales and press 2 for support. So under main menu, add a transfer. So a call transfer, sales transfer, press 1 option. So touch tone key response is 1 for a sales transfer. Is where we're going to tell it who to transfer to. So transfer call to agent/phone. You could put a telephone number here, but in this case, we're going to put an agent group. So called sales. And I'll show you how this is actually set up as well in a moment. Press 1, it's going to go to extension group sales. Okay, another call transfer. Port transfer is the touch tone response to group support. Perfect. So let's go ahead and save this inbound menu test. So in order to set up those groups, we're going to go ahead and create that I was using was testing him. Now we have the agent created testing. Let's go ahead and add him to a group. So let's go ahead and make sales group. The password for the voicemail box for sales 1234 21 for password. So we have 2 groups created. These groups is what people will get transferred to. We're going to assign this agent to one of the groups. Let's go ahead and add him to the sales groups. And add another agent. Let's go ahead and make testing 2. Agent here, and let's add him to the support group. And we can deploy it. So let's validate the design is good, then we'll deploy it. And this is going to deploy it to the gateway to be used. So now that it's deployed, designed menu system here. One, they're going to go to any agent that's in this group related to it. Likely, if you don't have a rule set up, and the rule being like transfer only to California, if you don't have one of those, by default, it's going to transfer to the most idle agent available. You have the ability to send them to a voicemail, or they can be put on hold and they can have hold music here. So we have transfer queue. You want them to wait. So if you want them to wait forever, 0. If you want them to wait 5 minutes and then send them to a voicemail to leave a message, you have that ability too. So that was the basic IVR Studio menu designer. So now if you have any questions about this, how this can be used, functionality, anything like that, feel free to answer this. This will be the last product that we're demonstrating. Then I can even show you one of the actual old systems that Voicent actually used. And this is kind of what a real world menu system looks like. Is it has a lot of options and routes. This one can potentially let people go through different routes if you enter somebody's extension. So we have extension set up on the left-hand side. This extension, they can go to, say, this agent directly. And we have certain places where they can record things. There's a lot of different transfers and place orders over the phone. So this system could take a credit card number, process an order. If somebody enters their order number, they can hear the status of their order. We have governments that use this for permit systems, for notification systems. It can be done over the phone. It's pretty versatile. And even information from this IVR can be sent over to your agents. So right here is we're updating a call note, new customer product questions. So this lets an agent know where this person came from in the IVR design. So if you notice this design is pretty big, you definitely want to differentiate a new customer ready to buy from a new customer that just has questions. And you can route those to the respective people so that they're ready. This lets the agent know exactly what to expect when the caller comes in. New customer product questions or new customer ready to buy. This is one of the ways we try to make it easy for you to handle that call the best you possibly can. And so that was the end of this presentation. I'm going to go ahead and leave you my contact information in the chat. So if you have any questions, concerns, comments, you'll definitely be able to let me know. So if you have any questions, I can answer those now. But if not, you have my contact information there. You can also send me an email. And this demonstration has been recorded. So if anybody wants to review this footage, you can send a request to my email, and then I can give you the URL directly to this video if you need anybody else to view it, or if you want to review the footage for some information that maybe we went too fast over. Yeah, good question, Mark. Even if you're not sure if what you're trying to do can be done, just go ahead and send me an email with exactly what you want to design, what your objective is. Then we can let you know whether or not it's feasible. This tool is really, really dynamic. So 99% of things can be accomplished in here. That email, then I can verify that for you and let you know what your options are and maybe provide a solution. So that's it for this demonstration. I wanted to thank everyone for participating. I just want to reiterate that my contact information is in the bottom right, so feel free to contact me. Thanks and have a great day.